Welcome to another dose of Empire, where we share stories to elevate and inspire. I am honored to introduce our next guest. She's inspiring. She's a leader. She's a health guru. Guys, I am honored to have the one and only Erna. Hi, how are you?
Hey, I am fantastic. Wow, that was some introduction. I'm so honored to be here. How are you?
I am great. I'm doing much better that you're here. I feel like we've been trying to do this for a while, and I am so honored. I have to start by saying I have been following you for a while now. It's just every day something positive, and you share about faith, about health, about gut health, and about fitness, and to watch you do this every day, and even how you share that on your website is everyday momentum. So with that being said, what keeps you going really to share the positive side of fitness and of health and wellness with your audience every single day?
Listen, we could talk for a whole hour on that one question, but I'm going to restrain myself. I won't do that to you, baby. I won't. So what keeps me going? This is something I share with people in a nutshell. This is something I share with people that I am around, not just my clients in my health coaching business, but anyone who is struggling with staying motivated, right? Staying consistent. Usually the problem that we have, me, you, everybody around us, is not that we don't know what to do in our health, not that we don't have the information at our fingertips. We all do. I mean, we all have this, right? I mean, our information overload, really. But what we don't have a really good, solid idea of, and or even if we do have it, it's not front and center in front of us every single day, is our why.
Yeah.
Oof. Why we do what we do, why we literally get up every morning, put our feet down at the side of our bed and get our day going. And I'm not just talking in health. I'm not just talking about, I want to work out more. I want to lose some weight. I want to get my nutrition going. Those are all fantastic goals, but they're not our why. So what I help people do, and this is what I've done and learned about, this is something I learned from people who have been studying this, doing this, leading about this for many years. This is not from me, not at all. But when I did this little tiny exercise and I figured out what my real why is, and I took the time to be intentional about remembering what that was, every day that I get up, I got to get moving. I got to focus on what I need to do, what needs to be done, and what His will for my life is. His meaning my Heavenly Father. That's what it's about. So my motto is impact through obedience. That puts my why sort of in a nutshell that I can just live and breathe every day. That's how I keep going.
I love that.
Thank you.
I love the reason to find your why. I think that's probably one of the when a lot of us are missing. We probably see other people being healthy. We're like, oh my God, we should be healthy. Everybody's doing it. Like, telling me I should do it. But finding to go home, and then we start a health journey, and a few months later, we're like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I feel like you said, when you have that why, it's almost like you're creating that foundation. And if you don't have a strong foundation, it's going to be shaking. It's going to be shaking. So you need to with it. So I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah. And if I can throw in there, the reason or the way I find that why, again, this is not mine. It's called a 7-layer why. And I have to remember who I heard this from. And I'll be happy to find out who it is and share it with you. So maybe the next time we talk, which I hope we do, and or what I've actually thought of doing is sharing with you, your audience, a small little guide about how to find that why. It's called a 7-layer why. And it's super powerful and super easy. You can do it literally in a minute and 30 seconds. And once you get to your true why, everything will be like, oh my goodness, this is why I need to do what I need to do. And trust me, that's all the motivation you need, because as you know, I probably preach into the choir, motivation comes and goes. it's like an emotion. It's great when you feel it, but when you don't feel it, it may not feel so great. So what do you do on the days that you're not motivated? Know your why.
I love it. Okay, now Erna, it feels like you were teasing me a little bit. 7 layers. I am so intrigued. I want to know.
It's so awesome.
2 or 3 of the 7 layers. I am so intrigued to know. I want to know.
Yeah,
implementing it as well.
Yeah, I should do that. It's something I've actually wanted to do, and it's something I'm going to prepare as a resource for one of my wellness groups, an upcoming wellness group. So we can talk about that if you want to. But that 7-layer why is super powerful, and it's because it's so easy. I love things that are simple and easy but powerful. Yeah. Isn't that what we all want? Because we're busy and we have a lot going on, but we really want our lives to mean something. We want our lives to go where they're intended to go, live our purpose. We all talk about that, right? But let's figure out how to get there. Simple and easy. And I'm telling you, this is life changing for me anyway. So I'm going to create that. I'm going to create that resource for you, Mimi. I'm going to do it. The 7-layer why. Let's do it.
Let's do it. First of all, I'm excited. We have to talk again. Guys, what that means is you have to look out for when we meet again. I'm excited to learn about the 7 layers. I'm excited to know how to keep it simple. But for now, I have to ask, how did you find your journey? Where did I start? Walk me through the process of how it started. And I know sometimes it is the hardest for us, for me, and a lot of people. But where did it start for you?
Yeah, I mean, our journey, certainly our health journey, starts, from the time we're born, right? And as we go older, we become more aware of it. We become more conscious and more intentional. Hopefully, we become more intentional about it. And then we have goals. We see where we can be, and we see the effects of some of our own actions and behaviors and lifestyles. So we're on our journey all the time. But really, the pivotal moment for me that brought me to this spot in my life, my health, my family, my business, it happened in 2018. So this is before pandemic.
Yeah.
I had some blood work done, regular checkup, regular blood work, nothing. I had no signs of anything. I was working out here and there. I was eating. I knew I wasn't eating great, but it's all good. I knew I can pull it together whenever I wanted to. So it's 2018. I go for my blood work and the results come back and I'm pre-diabetic. Now, many people have seen that before and they're like, oh, I don't want this. I don't want to be diabetic. But this was a hard stop for me. This was the straw that broke the camel's back because a few years before, my mom died. And she had been, thank you, and she had been a diabetic and hypertensive and I had watched this. She was my mom. And I had watched her live the last, 20 years of her life, if not more, on medication and in chronic pain. And something in me just said enough. And in our communities, in communities of color, I sensed, and I've always sensed, that this is almost part of our destiny. This is just part of my genetics. It's in our families. I know this person, that person in my family, my neighborhood, in my church, etc. They're diabetic and they live with it and carry on. Some of them have complications. Some of them may not, survive. But it feels as if we just accept this as our destiny. And I was determined, absolutely not. My genetics would not be my destiny. And I was determined. So at the time, I had a friend who was also a wellness coach, and she just invited me. She had invited me before. And now that I had this number in front of me that said that I was pre-diabetic, and everybody would assume that then next step would be I would be diabetic and I would have to be on all the things, checking my blood sugar and being on the medication, because that's what happened, right?
Right.
So I said, no, I'm going to take control of the things I knew. Now, I'm a nurse practitioner, and I didn't preface it with that because you know what? It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter even what you know sometimes. I'm a nurse practitioner. I've loved health and biology and nutrition for most of my career.
Yeah.
And here I was pre-diabetic, and I said, enough. So I joined a group of women who were taking back control of their fitness and their nutrition. And they were doing it in a space that was so supportive, and they held me accountable, but with love and kindness, but they held me accountable. I was responsible if I was committed. And that group, being in that space, changed everything for me, everything. So fast forward 5.5 months later, I'd lost almost 35 pounds. I was no longer pre-diabetic, because you better believe I went and had those blood tests done again, because I was like, yeah, we're nipping this in the butt. And I was no longer pre-diabetic. And by then I had continued to learn. I love reading and learning about nutrition, all the things. And I was trying to figure out why was this so powerful? We've all been on the diets. I had too. All the things we've tried, have worked, and then why was this working for me?
Yeah.
I'm the one, I don't have a sweet tooth. I have a crunchy, salty tooth. It's the same thing. Eating that bag of chips for dinner instead of a meal was me. That was me. And knowing what I knew at the time. So I decided to jump in headfirst, because I felt super, super passionate that there were a lot of people like me, a lot of women like me, a lot of women of color just like me, who may be pre-diabetic, who feel as if their genetics were their destiny. And I wanted to just share that it doesn't have to be. You are in control.
We wanted to take a moment to thank all our new subscribers. Please don't hesitate to comment below. Let us know how you're enjoying our podcast so far, or if you have any recommendations, so we can continue to give you great contents. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks for watching.
Oh, wow. That's incredible.
That's how it started for me.
Now, I think listening to that story, would you say without this group of women, would you have gotten there? And the second part of this, what would you say to those who are not as lucky to find a group? And you mentioned that 5-layer. So would you say would have to start with this 5-layer? Or what would you say to those people who are not as lucky as finding those group of motivators? It sounds like.
Yeah, that's
the right path.
You're absolutely correct. But I want to encourage you, whoever's listening to me right now, is that you're never alone. Now, this is from someone who is the quintessential introvert. This is me. I
can't tell. I really can't tell.
No, trust me on this. Trust me on this. I'm an introvert, and I use that as an excuse. I still call myself an introvert, because I probably always will be. But here's the thing. I use that as an excuse to stay away from people, to stay away from groups, to stay away from, other than like my girlfriends that I've known forever, who've known me, our kids grew up together. And even then, I'm not with them that much, because of I'm an introvert.
I get it.
So here's the thing. I needed that accountability on my own terms. And you have to do it on your own terms. And the fact that it was virtual helped. The fact that I could check in on my own terms in my own time, but I made a commitment, and they heard that. So you have to, trust me, you're never alone. You have to find the space, the group, the fellowship, whatever it looks like for you. You can find it. You need to find it, because research, this doesn't come from me. Research has shown this time and time again, that outcomes are much more successful. You reach the outcomes if you have accountability. Sometimes it's internal accountability, sometimes it's external accountability. What's perfect, the sweet spot, is to have both. And knowing your why is part of that internal accountability. But we'll get to that when we talk about that again. But so finding your group, it doesn't matter what it looks like. It could be a text thread with one person. It could be a social media group. You could join a challenge. I've done this. And now because I know the power, I've felt it myself. I've seen it myself. I've studied it, looked at all the data, because I asked the question, why is this working? This is weird, because I'm an introvert. This should not work this well. So I looked it up, and it's quite clear that you have to find your space, your community, and it looks different for everybody, but it's out there. I create them. So part of what I do is to create spaces for the people who want to work on a goal, who know their why, or who want to find their why. I create those spaces and they look different. Like I said, they could be small, they could be huge. Whatever works for you, being in that community is super, super powerful. So yes, I think anyone can find their community. Go ahead and ask me, message me anytime. I'll help you if you need an idea to point you in the right direction. It's not that hard, but you have to think about it. The way I think about it, it's really easy to find your community. And then you asked another question. The first question was, how do women who don't have access or feel they don't have access to that kind of community, what do they do to keep motivated? I think you can find your community, your accountability, external accountability. Remember, I think it pairs really well with internal accountability, knowing why. So you can do it. And then you had another question. I already forgot because I was thinking about that so much. What was the other part of that question?
You answered both of my questions. So there were two parts.
Okay, good.
And then the follow-up, which you answered beautifully. And for those of you listening, by the way, if you are trying to find that community, this is it. Just go check out ERNA'S page. It's going to be linked below. Oh my God, if you are looking for that community, for someone to encourage you every single day, by the way, it's not just the physical part, what you're actually putting in your body afterwards. She's it. She's definitely it. So thank you so much for being part of my community. Because I remember at one point, I that's one of the reasons I agree with you, because I've been in track forever. I love working out. I'm also an introvert, believe it or not. So I
see, it's hard to believe, but it's.
But what feels good though is when you can watch other pages and you see other people who are as motivated or much more. And even on days when I really don't even want to do anything, and I'm like, oh my God, let me go check out her page. And I'm like, nope, we need to get up today, Mimi.
I've been there.
That you really need to follow people who are doing it every day. Yeah. And for me, you keep me motivated. Thank you for being part of my community to keep me going. So honestly, so thank you for being there.
You're so welcome.
She's the one to follow for sure. My next question is, what would you say is a characteristic or a trait that a leader in the fitness industry or even motivating people, obviously you're one of the people I follow and I love to follow, but I know you on social media, you online. What is something, or I don't want you to name specific names per se, but what are some characteristics that you see in leaders online or even in person who are very questionable to you?
Questionable, as in you're not sure if you should be following them?
Exactly. Or something, oh my God, this could be dangerous for the community. So what are some of the traits or maybe as a warning to other people fighting that community, and maybe they're not sure, what are some traits you see, oh my God, maybe that's something you should stay away from? And what is one trait you're like, oh my goodness, that scares me a little bit? And I'm asking that question for those people who sometimes they fall victim of watching communities that are pushing them backwards instead of moving forward. And I think sometimes we don't know what we're looking for. And knowing that you've been doing this for so long, what is one thing you have seen where anyone trying to find a community, you would warn them about?
Yeah, that's such a great question. No one has ever asked me that before. That's such a great question. And here it is again. If you know your why, this will help. It'll almost be your North Star for almost everything. Who you follow, the goals, the plans you make, knowing your why. Yeah. And that is I'm telling you, that is so powerful. But that being said, once you know your why, and then you're out there, social media, as you know, it's a thing. And this is what I've found. Stay in your lane, meaning really look at, interact with the kinds of accounts, the kinds of people, the kinds of groups that you want to emulate or you want to learn from, that you know will help you get to where you want to be, that you know will supplement that why. Keep that as your North Star. And here's how you know you're doing that. Haven't you heard, Mimi, lots of friends on social media saying, I need a social media break. Social media is so toxic. It's so negative. I need to step back. All the time. And if that's the case, I completely agree. I say, listen, I am thinking and praying for you until and if you come back, I'm here. But you go and do what you need to do. Get away from those toxic people. So that's the first thing. You need to stay in your lane and only follow and interact with the kinds of people you want to be. If you want to be like that, follow them. If you want to speak like that, if you have those values, if you have that kind of those intentions, and it's quite clear. I don't think it's very subtle. You can see that. If you want to be like that, then follow them. And here's the thing about social media. Social media, your feed, your space is a mirror of what you're interested in.
Scary but true.
It is.
But so true.
People may not want to hear that. And it's true. And I've done it as an experiment on my own feed. I have been very intentional for a while about who I follow, who I interact with, the things I hit the like button for, even pausing, scrolling. I'm very careful. And you know what happens? I start seeing only the kinds of things that I interact with. That's how social media works. There's no one sitting, I don't think, there's no one sitting behind in an office somewhere trying to post the kinds of things that are, that are not wholesome unless you interact with them. They're just giving you more of what you are feeding yourself.
Yeah.
We have control. We actually have a lot more control than we think. Yes, these platforms are not ours. And clearly they are there, social media I'm talking about, or anything online, anything virtual. They're there for their own goals and purposes. And they have maybe very little to do with ours personally, clearly, right? I'm not being naive here. I'm not being naive, but I would love to challenge all of us to be really intentional about the spaces we go into and the places that we frequent, and even the little taps on that screen, all of it is being recorded. And then they will show you more of that.
That is so powerful. I mean, we know how scary, and how social media is almost every day we hear in the news, how it can be scary for children. And I couldn't agree with you more. But I think that's
absolutely
a great reminder. I also want to say that I feel good. The fact that I stumbled upon you, that means I'm collecting good things. The fact that I stumbled upon your page. So I'm hoping that I'm doing great things out there. But
absolutely,
the fact that you've been intentional. I don't think. Comment below though. Let me know who else is purposely being intentional. I don't think I intentionally been intentional with who I like and follow. To me, it's almost like my body. I do something creative, and obviously, I love fitness.
Right.
That is something I always enjoyed. I love health management.
Right.
And so anything dealing with wellness and health and fitness, I'm all about that. So I do get a lot of these in my feed.
Yes.
I don't think I did it intentionally. So then I'm gonna have to. So thank you so much for. We like
try it.
I love it. I'm gonna have to give it a try.
Try it. Try it.
My next question to you is now either fitness wise, personal, professional. What do you wish you'd done sooner? what is one thing?
In health and fitness?
Either one. Either on a personal life. Because the reason I asked this, because I know you said in 2018, that's when you started you pivoted. So knowing that fact, and it doesn't have to be in fitness and wellness, and it can be personal, even in your professional life as a nurse. What is one thing you wish you'd done sooner that could have negatively or impacted you today?
Well, the one thing that I know would have positively impacted my health if I had done it sooner was being more intentionally plant-based in my nutrition.
Oh, tell us more about that.
We wanted to take a moment to thank all our new subscribers. Please don't hesitate to comment below. Let us know how you enjoying our podcast so far, or if you have any recommendations so we can continue to give you great contents. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks for watching.
How about that?
Let me tell you, I have learned so much. When I lost that 30, it was 34, between 30 and 35 pounds in 2018, I started, as I said before, asking, why is this so different? I had never lost that much weight intentionally with literally just nutrition. I was working out consistently, but I always have. I've always been in the gym, always had a gym membership. Granted, now I had my own fitness library at home, so I was at home mostly working out, even for someone who loved going to the gym and taking all the classes. But I was doing way more consistently, yes, but I've always loved to work out. So what was the pivotal factor in my health and in my journey was my nutrition. And we've all heard you can't out-exercise a bad diet, right? So what was it about this nutrition plan, and diet can be used in many different ways. So what was it about how I was eating? And I was following a nutrition program. It wasn't a diet per se. I wasn't restricting anything. I was just being intentional about what I eat. So I decided to study it. And I actually became one of the master trainers in this nutrition program. And I just dug deep into it. And to come to find out, it's actually quite simple. And I'm going to give you and everyone watching a little powerful tip. And I'm big into keeping it simple and easy, but super powerful and effective. More plants are not only better for you, healthier for you, they're less in calories. Like way less in calories. So it almost doesn't matter what your health goal is. And I can't think of anything other than if you have specific sensitivities to certain foods, certain physical conditions. Absolutely, you need to be focusing and dealing with that with your healthcare provider, nutritionist, etc. Absolutely. But other than that, it doesn't matter what your health goal is. If you don't dial in your nutrition, and if you don't focus heavily, I'm not saying go vegan or go 100% whole food plant-based. I'm not saying you need to do that at all. But if you don't dial in your nutrition and make it very, I call it plant strong, plant focused, whatever, then you almost can't reach your goal and be sustainable. Certainly not in the way that I think is the most healthy to get there. And that's, again, I started figuring out why am I eating so many vegetables and so much fruit that I used to stay away from fruit. I don't know if you ever did this in your life. I used to not eat bananas and not eat a lot of very sweet fruit because I think, oh, there's too much sugar. And remember, I was like, there's no diabetes going on here. And come to find out that fruit is not the issue. So all those things I was learning. So by far, the number one thing in my physical health was being very plant strong and very, very plant focused. And I wish I had done that a lot sooner.
Oh, nice. Now, do you still eat meat, or you still do eat meat sometimes?
So about in 2019, I went 100% whole food plant-based. And it's only the last couple months, I've actually reintroduced one thing that's an animal product, which is Greek yogurt, because that was the last thing, the last two things I gave up before that was really hard for me because I love eggs and I love Greek yogurt. So those are the last things. The rest of the stuff, I didn't have a huge problem letting go, even though I've eaten meat my entire life.
Yeah.
But I started adding back some Greek yogurt in my morning cereals, my morning breakfast, because I needed that protein. And to come to find out, you know what, being plant strong and getting the health benefits of eating that way doesn't mean you have to give up all animal products at all. Yeah. If you want to be whole food plant-based, like I have been for a couple of years now, that's great. You do have to pay attention to some, like everyone, right? It doesn't matter what you're eating, plants, animals, whatever it is, you do have to pay attention to your nutrition. Are you getting enough of essential nutrients, micronutrients, macronutrients? And it's not like you have to, and I don't count, even though I'm a nurse practitioner and I love the science behind it, I'm just not that way. I'm not type A enough to care about all the numbers. I don't count. I don't. And that's okay if you do. Some people, that's really powerful for them. Great. But I'm not. So I needed to know what balanced nutrition looked like. And so I found a way to just look at my plate. I don't have to weigh it. I don't have to measure it. I don't have to use an app. Again, if that's how you prefer, great. But I just look at my plate to know if I'm eating the right things in the right amounts. So, and guys, I love to eat. And I was not about to go on any diet that restricted my volume. I need to be full and satisfied. And that's what I did. And I still lost over 30 pounds.
That's incredible. I can totally relate to not counting. You know, something new I started trying this year is listening to my body more. Mm-hmm. So there's nothing wrong with counting calories or counting. I think that could be a great start if you don't know if you have not been eating properly. I
absolutely
think when you get to that next level, when you start listening to what your body wants and needs, because I don't eat meat anymore, right? So I can totally relate. I stopped eating meat for a while, and then I was in a terrible space, and I said, no way, I'm going to start eating meat again. And then I started to feel worse mentally. And I'm like, okay, maybe we need to go back. But what I've learned doing it differently this time around is listening to my body. And believe it or not, your body tells you what it needs.
Yes, it does.
And it tells you when to stop. It tells you when you're thirsty. It tells you when you're hungry and you need to eat more. Some days I'm like, okay, yes, I don't need to eat that much. Some days I'm like, yes, we need food.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when you
I love that.
Next level, it tells you exactly when to stop. Yeah. But when we stop listening to those sensors, that means your body's like, well, you're not listening to me anymore. You do you.
Yes.
And it's just so upsetting those signals, but sometimes we have to kind of reset. So I love the fact that you don't count. Not that I'm putting anyone down that count, but I couldn't agree with you more. Sometimes you just have to listen to your body.
Yeah.
I love that. With that being said, I know you were injured a few weeks ago.
Oh.
So how do you get to the next level? The reason I'm asking this is because I too was injured, and those are the moments. As an athlete, I've been an athlete all my life. I ran track, I played soccer, I was in volleyball. Anything I can start moving, I loved it. I was in ballet. I love to dance. My motto was dance, move. Whatever you can do to basically move, kind of move was my motto. But the nutrition part of it, that's what I had to really learn to know. So how do you get to the next stage? Because sometimes, not only as athletes, as people, sometimes we get injured, and we sometimes, at least from my standpoint, get fooled thinking, or maybe you agree with it. I'm like, oh my God, I got injured. Maybe God is telling me to sit down.
So maybe it is.
Maybe it is. What would you say to some people those of us who get to that stage where they are feeling kind of breaking down or they are getting injured? What would you say to those people who find themselves in that position where they really cannot move as much and they feel discouraged, what would you say to those people?
Hang in there. It was so hard for me because I'd never had an injury. I shouldn't say that. I've had an injury before that limited my movement, and I have to move every day. I'm like you. I wasn't a competitive athlete ever, but I love to hike and snowboard in the winter.
Yes.
And I used to love running. I don't run much anymore, but I have to walk, and I live in a very walkable community and neighborhood. And I work out at home. I mean, I need to move every day. So when this knee thing happened, and the time that I couldn't work out as much as when I pulled a muscle in my lower back, and that too was hard because I literally could not do any of that. Yeah. And you know what? It's just time to do something different. I had to tell this is me talking to myself. It's time to, number one, take care of yourself. Yeah. You have an injury. Injuries need healing, need time to heal. So you need to give your body, your knee, time to heal so that you can get back into it as soon as possible. And I know because I've tried to rush it, and I've tried to, I'm just going to take some Motrin and I'm just going to go on that hike anyway. And I've done it and I've paid the price. So I had to just tell myself, it's okay. You need time to heal. And as our bodies age and as we get older and older and older, sometimes we have different things that can happen to us, injuries that happen a little bit more often. That's just normal. And we have to give ourselves grace, forgive our bodies, and let it do the best it can, because you have to heal. And healing takes time. So give yourself time. I had to give myself time and slow down. And do all the things. That's the other thing. Really figure out what will it take to heal your body. So my knee, I went to my physical therapist. I wore my knee brace. So even when I was walking a little bit because I couldn't stand it, but I wore my knee brace. I iced it. I did all the things that they actually, most injuries, and you have to know your body and know what your injury is. Staying still, not moving is actually not a good idea. You need to move that joint and need to move that part of the body just to keep it lubricated, keep the circulation going, and keep that body functioning. So it's not that you need to sit on the couch or lie down all day. No, not at all. But you really need to back off and do all the things to help that part of your body heal. So that's what I did. I just tuned into my body. I listened to my body. And even though it was super hard for me, I had to slow down. I didn't go on my hikes. I'm a part of a hiking group. And so my knee, I could not go up and down these hills. And we do lots of hills. The up and especially the down I couldn't do it. And so for me to get back into the hiking group, and I actually started my own hiking group, but that's a whole other story.
I love that.
I know. I needed to take care of my knee. So I did. The first 2 weeks, I was like, it's not getting better. I was feeling really discouraged, but I just stuck through to it and did all the things. And finally, it's almost normal again. I feel good.
Yes.
How was yours?
Oh my God. It was tough.
I know it.
My mindset was almost, okay, we'll feel better. And I pushed to it, but I didn't listen to my body. So that's my key word with anyone. I could not have agreed with you more. For me, the injury was there. So first, my foot fell into a manhole, and
ouch.
Felt something broke back there. But
oh no,
you know what? We can push to it. We got this.
Yep.
And let me tell you, I just ignored it. And then one day I was just standing around and I heard a pop and my tendon popped and broke, and I rushed to the emergency room and they said, young lady, for how long has this been happening? I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about.
But we wanted to take a moment to thank all our new subscribers. Please don't hesitate to comment below. Let us know how you enjoying our podcast so far, or if you have any recommendations so we can continue to give you great contents. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks for watching.
But when I go back And that's one thing I couldn't agree with you more. I ignored the pain. I know it was there. I felt the discomfort, but I ignored it. And so that's one of the reasons I tried to change my mindset, not only with the eating part, but when it comes to exercising. And that's one of the reasons I had to ask you, the fitness part of it, you have to listen to your body. Start out slow if you can. But the key is, like you said, just keep moving. But I felt discouraged, and it was like, for me, I had to go back to the basics. I had to go back to the mental aspect, because it was almost like I was disappointed of myself for being injured and for not listening to my body. So that's why I had to go back to the basics. So that would be my recommendation to anyone. Just
agree.
Yeah,
I agree. How long has it been?
It's been almost 6 months now. 6 months.
Wow. So you had a long period of rehab and all the things.
Yeah. But I'm loving this period, believe it or not. I'm learning fitness in a whole different way, where I'm listening more. I don't think I ever listened. My goal was almost, let's push it as forcefully, as strongly as we can. I go from 0 to 100 all the time. But this time I'm enjoying the middle point. How can we get from 0 to 1 to 2 to 3 before we get to 100 again? And earlier today, I'm like, oh my God, I want to go run again. But yes, I love to run. That's just like my go-to fitness. But with that being said, what is your favorite fitness? You mentioned hiking. You mentioned snowboarding. I know you love to bike. So which one is your favorite?
I have to pick one?
Yes, just one.
Right. Okay, I'll pick one. So yeah, if I had to pick one, it's probably hiking.
Really?
And it's something I've only just gotten into. Well, maybe in the past year. Like I said, I joined a Facebook group. I like being outdoors, so I love being near water and trees and just being outside. But I joined this Facebook group in my local area a few years ago, and then the pandemic came, and so I didn't hike with them pretty much all of 2020. And in the spring of 2021, things were getting a little bit easier. So I said, let's go back outside again with this group, and I did. It's almost like it's a whole thing. It's not just a physical thing. It's like a spiritual thing for me when I'm out there. It's amazing. I feel the most connected with who I'm supposed to be. And I spend a lot of time in my head out there because I'm an introvert. I much prefer to be in my own head, even though I'm with a group. So yeah, of course, I do spend some time chatting with people and catching up with them because I've become friends with. That's the thing. Out of nowhere, this introvert has found a new community that I can go to connect with on my own terms. So we have all kinds of little pods, messenger pods, this group within this big hiking community that we all stay in touch, and I've become friends with them. So hiking is probably now my favorite activity to do. So that's why I started my own hiking group. I'm like, clearly this was meant to be.
I love that. Just believe it or not, I don't remember who said that, but if you want to make a deal with someone in person, just take a walk with them. Take a walk with them, because they're using they're smelling, they're moving, and it's just, there's something about
brilliant
moving, and especially when you're making a deal. Oh my God, I tried it on my mom actually. And it works. It actually works. So it goes hand in hand with hiking. I remember with something family. It was a family thing, and I needed my mom to be on my side. I said, Mom, let's take a walk.
Right. Next thing you know.
She's like, and then we went back and we're talking as a family, and she's like, yes, you guys, Mimi was right. I'm like, yes. So I love the fact that you love hiking, because
that's brilliant. I love that. That's a great idea.
So
it is powerful.
That's a good one.
Wow. Yeah, that's my favorite right now. Lovely.
We'll say it could change, but that's okay. I would love to hear more if it changes, but I can understand with hiking. I miss hiking, by the way. I used to because of an injury. I haven't done it in a while, but
you'll get back to it.
I'll get back to it.
Mm-hmm.
I